Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you haven't been here before, my name is Rita and I hope you all are having a fantastic week. I hope you are all geared up for the holidays and that you are getting ready to enjoy and be around your family and friends and not fight or talk about crazy stuff, because there's a lot of crazy stuff that's going on, like what I'm going to talk about today. But I hope you are ready to have fun, enjoy your families, getting ready for the weekend, all that good stuff. So anyway, today I'm smiling so much because I know, well, I won't say I know, but perhaps this video is going to not sit so great with some people, because I am going to be talking about something that I never hear people talking about. It's something that I have brought up before, that is really prevalent in our society and has been for a very long time. So there was a report that came out a few days ago about a 20-year-old woman who molested a boy, a student, recorded it, and this was an ongoing thing. So this was like obviously an ongoing thing where she was molesting a student, and she was a high school substitute teacher. Yes, high school. Here, I'm just going to play a little bit just so you can get a feel and look at how the news talks about it too.
20-year-old Ayanna Davis, a substitute teacher at Lakeland High School, is now out of a job facing serious charges. She's accused of having sex with one of her male students, who deputies say is 16 years old or younger.
You're a teacher, you're supposed to teach. You're not supposed to be getting involved with these students like that.
The investigation began back on December 3rd when a student told a school resource officer about a video on Snapchat showing Davis and another student having sex. According to the affidavit, the male victim sent the video to a large number of Lakeland High School football players. When investigators interviewed Davis, she admitted she and the male student had sex at least 4 times.
So now, it was very interesting to me to watch some of the comments. In some of the comments, people were saying stuff like, oh, well, let's just everybody remember she wasn't 30 or 40 or 50. She was 20 and she made a mistake. And, yeah, she should get kind of a slap on the wrist kind of thing. People were really not willing to call a spade a spade. And I'm going to tell you something, too. So there is... I'm going to be airing some dirty laundry today. So obviously in our culture, we have a huge sexual perversion problem. I mean, everybody knows that, anybody with eyes can see. We have a huge sexual perversion problem, and it's coming in all sorts of flavors, right? One thing that I will say, in Black culture, there is a huge child abuse problem, a huge child sexual abuse problem, pedophilia problem. That is what I'm going to say. A lot of people don't want to talk about it. They want to sweep it under the rug and act like it's not going on. But everybody who grew up if you grew up in the ghetto, in the hood, if you grew up around mostly Black people for the majority of your life, then you will know that this is a huge issue. Why do I bring this up? So the comments that people were making about, oh, it's not that big of a deal. There is some dysfunction in Black culture that says when you're 20, it's okay. And I'm not saying everybody, obviously. I always have to premise that because, people are like, don't paint this broad brush. Obviously, I don't mean everybody, but I'm just saying in general, it is not uncommon to see 20-year-olds sleeping with children. And when I say children, I mean 16. And see, some of you heard that and was like, well, that's not really, that's not really a big deal. See, that's what I'm saying. There are people, men. It's more prevalent, I think, with men, but it's becoming clearly more prevalent with women too, that where men are in their 20s and they are having sex with 15, 14, 13-year-old girls or flirting with young girls. And this is a huge issue. It's a huge issue. And I don't know why people won't talk about it. And the reason I bring this up too is because I remember there's a few stories here that I think hit the news, reports or whatever, and people were like, oh my gosh, and people were acting like, I mean, obviously it's a horrible thing, right? Pedophilia and people sleeping with grown people sleeping with, I mean, not sleeping, grown people molesting children. It's terrible. But the way a lot of people treat it, it's like, it's not terrible. So a few years ago, I believe it was, there was this report that came out of Georgia where this young black boy, I think he was 19, jumped out of a window because this girl who he, I think, was doing some online dating, met online or something. She was like 14 and her father came home and he chased the boy out. And I think the father beat the boy. The boy started running and then the father pulled out a gun and started shooting down the street. He didn't hit the boy, but you can't do that, right? After he beat the boy and the boy started running, that's it. You can't go chase him and shoot him. But I'm saying this to say, like, it's so common. This is one of those things where I feel like it's one of those things it's part of the subculture. And people don't talk about it. And people outside of the black subculture in this country, they don't understand that. Like, they don't know that these are the types of things that happen pretty regularly, so much so that it's ingrained in the culture. For instance, when that thing happened with R. Kelly, even though I was here, I was in Chicago, I grew up there, I was there when everything hit the fan with R. Kelly, when the very first time when he got caught urinating on a 14-year-old girl. Okay, saying all sorts of dirty, nasty things. And he was a fully grown man. Okay, fully grown. And he got off scot-free. He didn't know he served no time. As a matter of fact, he had tons of advocates in the black community. Like, she knew what she was doing. She knew what she was doing. Like, that's the kind of stuff you hear because it's so prevalent for grown men, for grown people to be hitting on and trying to pick up. I've had that happen plenty of times. It's part of the culture where fully grown men try to pick up young girls. I went to high school with girls who dated grown men because they were drug dealers, whatever, and they had money and they can get them nice stuff. In high school, I'm talking 25, I'm talking girls who are 15, 16 years old dating 25, 30-year-old men. Okay? And it wasn't dating. Obviously, we know that it's pedophilia. But I'm just saying that to say there is something pathological and huge dysfunctions in the black culture that nobody wants to talk about. None of the things that we see in society having to do with the black subculture is going to change because nobody is willing to address it. People don't even want to act like it's a thing, but it is a thing. Anyway, I digress. So what I was saying was when the thing came out with R. Kelly just more recently, where he finally served time for it, I don't know if you guys know this, there was a huge backlash from adults saying, oh, all these girls who came out, they just want fame and fortune. They just want some of that money. They knew what they were doing. They weren't that young. Like comments like that. It's like nobody's even concerned. People outside of the culture were appalled, obviously. But I'm here to tell you, in black culture, it's really common and sadly acceptable, and a lot of times very acceptable. A lot of times people will turn a blind eye to this type of perversion and molestation because the man is paying some bills, or if the daughter is dating some grown man, the mom will turn a blind eye to it because maybe the guy is giving them money for groceries or whatever the case may be. It's mind-boggling to me. And I think it's a huge problem. And I think that so there's a lot of people talk about the problem in black culture being like, oh, it's fatherlessness, or oh, the moms are married to the government. It's that. And you can't just point to one thing. There are a lot of things working together. There are a lot of dysfunctions. I think first of all, our country has a mental health and wellness crisis. It is turned upside down. People are losing their minds. People have walked away from God, first of all, and people are hopeless and they have no identity, and it's just a mess, right? But specifically in black culture, there are so many things happening in the culture. Violence is commonplace. It's accepted. People have a different thought process than people that live in, especially if you live in the ghetto, have a completely different thought process than people who live outside. Like when you grow up, looking over your shoulder, listening with one ear all night as you sleep, all that stuff, like that has a real effect on people. And so that affects the entire society. So when we see all these different things happening, it's because there's a lot going on. Yes, fatherlessness plays a role, but so does the molestation that's happening, because a lot of times, because there is no dad there, molestation is happening. Hopelessness is happening. And it's all so commonplace and so ingrained in the culture for the most part that people act like it's not even a thought. So I'm bringing all this up to say, first of all, I don't think that we live in a completely different day and age. I don't think that substitute teachers for high school and grade school students should be somebody who's that close in age. I just don't. I just don't like it. First of all, the whole public school thing, I mean, it's a wash. I mean, it's a mess already. So I already feel like people should just take their kids out of public school. I get if people can't, but I'm just saying that's how I feel. And I don't feel like substitute teacher. I mean, I feel like Miss Doubtfire should be there. You know what I'm saying? I feel like Miss Doubtfire should be there. There shouldn't be anybody else there. That's my opinion. But this culture that we're living in is this, what I was just talking about with Black culture, and how we have how the Black subculture has really just, I don't want to say embrace pedophilia, obviously, but it's been such a part of the culture that people are not even cognizant of it. The kid who jumped out of the girl's window, I'm willing to guess that nobody has had the conversation with him. Like, yes, you're 18, and yes, this girl is 14, 15, however old she was. Yes, I get it. Or, maybe she looks older, and maybe you think that this isn't okay. Maybe it didn't even dawn on him, other than sneaking in her house when her dad wasn't home. He probably knew that part was wrong, but I guarantee you probably nobody has had a conversation with him about the fact that this is illegal. You cannot date, once you turn 18, you cannot date somebody under 18. You might have a case if she's 17 and you're 18, but you cannot, you can't do it. And I'm guessing nobody's having these conversations. Why? Because it's not even a topic. It's so ingrained in the culture. Nobody's even thinking about it. Nobody's even talking about it. It's so rampant. I know so many people, family, friends, who have had children by full grown adults who have, it's just, when they were children, I'm just saying it's really pervasive and nobody's talking about it. And clearly there's a mental health crisis in our nation. Specifically in Black communities, there is we can see it on the streets. We see it plastered all over the news. This is just a decades long manifestation that you're seeing now, all out in the streets, oozing out into the rest of society. This is stuff that's been bubbling within these communities for a very, very long time. Clearly, there's a mental health and wellness crisis. Clearly, there's a morality problem in the country at large, but today, obviously, specifically, I'm talking about this problem. Why? Since all these cities, all these Democrat-run cities specifically, these politicians, whoever, I don't even care who's running it. It's not even about, I don't even care. All the money that they're collecting for all of the social programs and great benefits and things that they claim to have. Why is nobody talking about this mental health thing? Why is nobody digging down in here and saying, if they really wanted to help, which they don't. I know that, you know that. Maybe some people who stopped in don't really know. I don't know. But if you have been paying attention, you know that they don't really want to change the problem. They want to make it worse. Why are none of these cities who claim to love Black people so much, why are they not offering mental health? Why are they not talking about nutrition? Why is diabetes so high? Why is high blood pressure so high? Why is pedophilia rampant? Why is rape rampant? Why is violence, period, rampant in these communities? And they get these politicians, they get on their podiums and they grandstand about all the problems and what they can do and what new program and what new monuments they can erect and how they can change street names. But nobody's talking about all this stuff that's affecting people in catastrophic ways, affecting whole swaths of society. Well, they don't want to change it. They don't want to change it. Only reason I'm talking about this is because I just want to put it out there that it is a problem. People should be aware of it. The child molestation thing in our culture is a real one. It is really, really bad in Black ghettos, like in Black culture. It is terrible. Let's just be real about it. It's terrible. The whole, when you're 25, 30 and you're looking at 15 and 16-year-olds. I'm not saying everybody, obviously, but I'm just saying if you're Black, you know, and you grew up in the ghetto, then you know what's up. You know it's a thing. People don't talk about it. They see it and they're like, people just say, oh, you know, that's probably not a good idea. You shouldn't be. Isn't he a little young? Isn't she a little young? You know, but it's not treated like a real big problem. Sexuality in general has been so cheapened that the perversion between just a man and a woman and the perversion of those relationships has been so I'm saying that there is a crisis, and for all the money and taxes that these cities charge or beg for and hustle people out of, they could be providing some services. They could be getting to the root of the problem, but they don't want to change it. They don't want to get to the root of the problem. They don't want to talk about the pedophilia that's rampant in these communities. They don't want to talk about the rape. They don't want to talk about the violence. They don't want to talk about any of it. They just want to get out there and wave and talk about hot sauce in their purse and these talk about, hey sister, we down, yeah, we all down. I'm down, brother. I got you, brother. They want to Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson the thing, and then when things like this come up, they don't even address the things that are happening in these communities that are spilling out into the rest of society. The rest of society doesn't have any idea. They don't have any idea what's going on. They don't know that it's problematic. Like some of these people, it kills me. Some of these people who have never interacted, who has never spent any time around these communities or anything, and they have so much to say about oppression and white supremacy and all this other stuff. But they have no idea that all this stuff is happening inside the communities, that there are some pathologies that are going on and highly dysfunctional things that are happening in the communities that politicians and stuff refuse to tackle. They don't want to tackle it. They want people to be all focused on everything that's happening in the communities. They want you to be in there, because I think they come out for, obviously because they want the vote, but not like what people think. They want the vote because maybe they want them focusing on everything else so they don't vote so they can have the vote. So they can get the vote however they get it. I hope you guys have a great weekend. This is a terrible story. And it's one of those things. It's just one more thing that we look at and we just shake our heads. There's so much going on. And it's something I feel like I just wanted to talk about. It was on my mind. And my thoughts are just like, why no one is talking about this? No one will bring this up. Can we talk about some mental health resources? Can we talk about in these communities how, yes, there is a mental health problem? The prison system, they want to do prison reform. Okay, there's a great way to do prison reform. Can we lock the people up who are a detriment to these neighborhoods, a detriment to society, who are violent criminals, who are raping children, molesting children, whatever they're doing? Can we lock these people up and give them some kind of treatment while they're in there? Can we do that before we let them back out? Can we do that at least? I mean, all the money that they're sucking, the government is sucking from us. Can they at least provide some programs to say, okay, well, these people are a danger to society. Let's get some programs going. Get these people off whatever they're off of. Get them some rehabilitation happening. Okay, yeah, you want to do like prison reform and all that stuff? I'm all about it. Let's get some real therapy up in here so these people don't come back out on the streets and rape and mug and, break into people's houses and molest people's children and all this crazy stuff. That's all. I know the story started off with me talking about the substitute teacher, 20-year-old, who had sex, the news report says, with this young boy. But I'm just saying it's an epidemic. Nobody's talking about that it's an epidemic. This sort of thing is an epidemic. And I wish they would. Because as long as these things are normalized, like people in the comments saying it wasn't that big a deal. Oh, it's not. She was just 20. He was just whatever, a child, 15. They said 16 or younger. So who knows how old the kid was, right? Oh, it was just, wasn't that big. It is a big deal. Can we stop normalizing pedophilia? That would be fantastic. I know the culture is pushing that way. I know the culture is trying to normalize pedophilia, but it is from the pits of hell. And let's not normalize that. Let's call it for what it is. Let's get people the help that they need. Let's take all this tax money that the government is sucking from us and sending overseas, and let's start creating some mental health programs for people, and try to break some of these cycles of this pathological behavior. All right. That'd be great. Anyway, let me know what you guys think, and I will chat with you soon. Have a fantastic weekend. Until next time. Ciao.